If you're like me, you love getting good scores. Whether in arcade games or sports or even credit, we all want good scores. And so it goes with tests. I mean, who wouldn't want a good score if they could get one? But scoring on a standardized test like the GRE should be looked at a little bit differently. My name is Mason, I'm a GRE expert with Magoosh, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through different things you should consider when it comes to getting a good score on the GRE, because it might just surprise you. First, let's talk briefly about how the GRE is scored. When you take your test, you're going to receive 3 different scores: a verbal reasoning score, a quantitative reasoning score, and an AWA score. Now, the verbal and quantitative scores are taken from the 2 sections of each that you took on the test, and they range from the lowest score being 130 to the highest score being a 170. The AWA works a little bit differently. Your AWA score comes from how you performed on the 2 AWA essays. Each essay will be graded on a scale from 0 to 6, and then you're given one combined score that's an average of the 2 of them. So for example, if on the first essay you scored a 5 and the second essay you scored a 4, your average taken together is going to be 4.5. Your overall score on the GRE is simply a combination of both your verbal score and your quantitative score. So, for example, if you scored a 150 on verbal and a 150 on quant, then your total overall score for the GRE would be a 300. The AWA score does not factor in to your overall score. All right, so that's how this whole process works, and at this point, you're probably thinking to yourself, all right, so the highest score I can get on the verbal is a 170, and also a 170 on the quant, and a 6 on the AWA. So overall, I want my score to be as close as possible to a 340 combined, and of course to a 6 on that AWA. Simple, right? Not quite. Let me be super direct here. This is the wrong way to think about what makes a score good on the GRE. Remember that your GRE score is just one piece of a complex package of materials that you're submitting for application. So, just like every other package element, your CV, your statement of purpose, your transcripts, your GRE score should be personalized to you and your target programs. I'm going to throw at you 3 big ideas that should help you think about what a good score is for you on the GRE. Big idea number 1. A good score on the GRE is a score that gets you an acceptance letter to your target program. What I'm about to tell you might sound super simple and obvious, but surprisingly, it often goes overlooked by a lot of students who are trying to set goals for the GRE. So here it is. Your target score should be taken from the score requirements of your target program. Every graduate program website should have listed some score requirements for the GRE, or they have a friendly admissions representative who you can contact to ask about them. These are resources that you absolutely have to take advantage of when it comes to setting really smart and informed score goals for the GRE. If for some reason your target program doesn't list a GRE score requirement, then ask about last year's class. What was their average GRE score? And keep in mind that an average score means that, well, half of people accepted scored above that score, and half people scored below it. So use that as a baseline, and also keep in mind that there are so many different factors that go into admissions decisions, but that's a topic for a different video. Before you go any further into your GRE journey, do some research, look at your target programs, set smart score goals so that you don't fall prone to this reflex that so many of us have to just absolutely try to shoot the moon on the GRE when we don't actually have to. Of course, I want to call out that maybe some of you watching have already done your research and you know you need a top score on the GRE to be competitive for your program. If you're in that position, I've got good news for you. We have a video created all about how to score a 160 plus on the quant. It's going to break down 3 habits of high scoring test takers. It's worth checking out, so follow that link after this video. Big idea number 2. Your individual scores may actually carry more weight than your overall score. Let me share with you a little bit about my personal GRE journey. I was using the GRE to apply to environmental philosophy, MA, and PhD programs. So early on, I did some research, and I quickly realized that for most programs I wanted to apply to, I only needed about a 150 or so on the quant side of the test. Whereas I really needed about a 160 or better on the verbal to be competitive for these programs, and I needed a super solid AWA score because philosophy is pretty much nothing but analytical reading and writing. Doing this research and discovering this information had a huge impact on how I approached my GRE studies. So basically, I knew I had to brush up on some quant skills to hit that 150, but I should really be spending most of my time focusing on the verbal and the AWA scores because those held more weight. So this approach really impacted my entire process because it saved me countless of hours that I might have invested in the quant side of the test, where in reality it wasn't going to be a super important consideration for my application package. So when you're researching score requirements, try to get specific on the individual scores you need in the verbal, quant, and AWA sections so that you don't end up investing way too much time into elements of the GRE when you could be spending that time, I don't know, polishing up your CV or writing your personal statement, or I guess labeling everything in your house with this cool old-fashioned embossed label maker. Don't judge me, it's just where I'm at right now. Big idea number 3, time is finite and the GRE is really, really tough. Sometimes in life, a thing is good relative to the amount of time you had to work on it. So the house looks really good considering I just had 10 minutes to clean it, or I felt really strong in the gym today considering I haven't had much time to work out lately. If you ask me, the GRE can be thought of in exactly the same way. This is no easy test. Just taking the test alone is a feat to be proud of, not to mention fitting in studying for the test into your busy life full of jobs and errands and other obligations. So no matter what score you get, be proud of it. And if you only had a month to study for the test, then consider that when you evaluate whether or not your score is good or not. Most test takers that end up getting a really high score on the GRE often spent months studying and preparing for it and had to take the official test several times. So my advice is just to keep everything in perspective and measure your score not by whether you hit that vaunted 340 or a 6, which is totally unnecessary, but rather by the progress that you made in the time that you had to prepare for it. Do you have questions about setting smart score goals or finding a study plan to get you to test day? Well, that's what we at Magoosh live for, my friends. So subscribe to this channel, drop a comment below, and let us know what we can do to help support you on your GRE journey.